up, soccer friends? Welcome to Kickback Committee. We're glad you're here. I'm Susannah Fuller, alongside the incomparable David Goss, during what is a very, very busy week ahead in the soccer world, in the sports world in general.
Yeah, it's not equinox. What's the phrase when everything happens at the same time? Is it the equinox? I don't think one is happening this year, but this is the time period when you get the playoff championship in one night.
Yes.
Because we're in it.
We are so in it. So we've got the US Open Cup final coming up on Wednesday. We have the Jägermeister Cup final this weekend. Champions League is happening right now. The MLB playoffs are happening. Go Cubs, go. Thank you very much.
I'll root for you.
Thank you.
My team's dead. I did a long soliloquy about it yesterday.
I'm sorry about your Mets.
Yeah,
I'm very sorry. I have zero expectation for the Cubs in postseason baseball because historically it just tends not to go very well, aside from 2016. Also, the back end of the season, they've been quite poor. So we're tempering expectations.
Okay.
And if they exceed them, then it's a win.
That's
how I look at this.
House money is always a good place to be. I do that thing where I can't decide if I want the team that beat my team to win or if I want them to be crushed. So the Minnesota Lynx just got knocked out by the Phoenix Mercury. The Lynx knocked off the Liberty. The Liberty are not fully healthy. The Lynx are not fully healthy. Fine. But some of my Minnesota people were talking a little bit too much. So that kind of brought some rage out of me. But now I'm
Chirp.
Am I still rooting for Phoenix? Do I have to follow Phoenix through now?
You got to do what feels right, David.
I know. Normally that's just hater vision. And it's just I hope no one wins.
That's also very on brand for you.
Yeah,
and I love it, by the way.
I know.
Okay, so we've got some big announcements this week. The first being that Bad Bunny is going to be headlining the Super Bowl halftime show. David Goss. I don't know why I am so excited, but everybody on my timeline seems to be freaking out about this. And rightfully so. I've actually seen Bad Bunny at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, I was going to say, did you go to Puerto Rico? Wow.
No, I wish. No, it was at Yankee Stadium. But, there is a sizable Puerto Rican community in the Bronx, and it was one of the best shows I have ever seen. Mind you, I don't understand a word that is coming out of his mouth because sadly I do not speak Spanish. But the vibes were unmatched. Absolutely unmatched. I am so stoked. So stoked about Bad Bunny.
New Yorkers. So it's a pretty good spot to see. Of all the places in the U.S. to see him, I think, or in the continental U.S., excuse me, I think Yankee Stadium's probably number one.
It was epic. It was pretty epic. So that was the first big announcement that just delighted me this week.
Slightly big. Yeah.
But in even bigger news, Kickback Soccer Media has some very, very exciting news about some partnerships. David Goss, will you enlighten us, please?
Yeah, we announced our larger organization that we sit inside, an official partnership with American Outlaws. In which we are going to be bringing new fans to every single game in the U.S., between the U.S. men's and women's national team, all the way through the 2027 Women's World Cup in Brazil, which I think is going to be one of the biggest soccer events that's ever happened in terms of energy around the U.S., obviously following 2026. And it is part of our initiative to try and grow the game and give back and be a part of the community, and being part of a community is welcoming people in and giving them an opportunity. And so we try to take away some of the barriers to entry and really ignite interest in people, because I have said this so many times, but the in-person experience at a soccer game in the U.S. is elite. And if you can get people into the building, I think they will come back, and I think they will care, and I think they will ask about it. So we decided, how do we help? We try and get people into the building. We are also going to be working with the Philadelphia Union on this as well. So we have a block of tickets that we will be distributing to first-time fans for the Union game this weekend against NYCFC, and then we're going to continue doing work with them going forward. So I was part of the test pilot we did with American Outlaws at the South Korea game at Red Bull Arena, and if you remember, it was not the most promising game for the U.S., so it was actually really cool to see it through these fans' eyes of this is so crazy, this is so cool. And, having Sun there and being the way South Korea was supported, like that's another really cool entry point for people. And so to have them experience all of that and then hear the drums, like sometimes maybe we get a little numb to some of this stuff and you forget like this is so unique and this is one of the coolest things that's happening. So we're really excited about this. We're really excited to bring it to new fans. We're really excited to help share the stories with current fans as well. Like I think this is going to be something really fun and something that we're definitely really proud of and we're really invested in.
It's brilliant. It's an absolutely brilliant idea. And I'm already like in my head trying to think of friends that I have that I would want to bring to something like this and what their initial reaction would be. Question for you. When you went to the South Korea match, what was sort of the biggest takeaway from the first timers? Like what struck them the most about the experience? Like was it like the chants? Was it the drums? Like where were they blown away?
I think it was the instruments, like how musical it is and that experience. And then the other thing I think, which I had never really thought about before, is you're kind of on display. Like the supporter section specifically is like part of the star of the game. And so they were on TV a couple times because, you know, the camera cuts to that section and their friends and family then were watching because of it and they found out and we got screenshots of that and we sent it over to them and like they're so excited about it. And you're like, one, being on TV, cool, which I think is cool, but not that cool as much after doing what we've done for as long as we've done it. So I think that part of like you are kind of this focus of a lot of it. And then I think just that, that constant like energy, like, you know, the drums never stop and you forget like, oh, right, that's not what it's like at a basketball game. Like people don't really have a context for that if they haven't lived in the soccer world.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I think too, like, especially for me, who's somebody who I get a little fatigued sometimes, especially.
Yeah, you go to what, a game a week?
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
And it is not the excitement level of a U.S. men's national team game. But even the way I've been feeling about the U.S. men's national team, I think being able to experience that through some fresh eyes, you know, somebody who has sort of like zero expectations about what's going to happen, I think would be just incredibly refreshing for me.
Yes.
You know, just like a reboot, a little bit like a reminder as to why we love this sport, why we love our jobs and what we get to do. But it's true. You know, sometimes you just need that little nudge. And I feel like this is so perfect for that.
And I think there's, you know, I'm really proud of the soccer community that exists in the US. It's one of the things that I most identify with. Mm-hmm. And so I do think it's a welcoming place. I think people want people to come in. I think it's a really powerful space because I think there's a lot of really good ideas of community building, sharing, inclusion, opportunity. Like I think there's a lot of ideas in all of that I want to be spread, but also I think it can be added to by new people coming in and coming from different backgrounds and different experiences. So I think that will be really, really fun. And as you said, like there was definitely a heartening experience there of like, I was watching the U.S. not perform again in a game, but they were watching this thing for the first time and experience this thing for the first time. And when we go to the USWNT games and watch them win, I think that will be really fun as well to see a team that is dominant and a team that can put on different type of performances. They've got games coming up against Portugal and Italy to close out the year. All 4 of those are in the U.S., so we will be at them. I will not be at every game. We will not be at every game individually, but I will be in Austin for the USMNT Ecuador game that is coming up next week. So if you're going to be there, hit me up. We're obviously going to talk Austin a little bit in this one. Sadly, not at the Open Cup, which is the game I would probably prefer to be to between the two. But I think that game is going to be really fun. Q2, you know, it's a party. It bounces.
It's wild. Q2 is rad. So great stuff, David Goss. We're super excited about all the moves that Kickback Soccer are making. But as you mentioned, we've got a super fun episode in store. We're catching up with Austin FC supporter and co-host of the North End podcast and friend of the committee, Zac Graham, ahead of that big Open Cup final between Austin and Nashville. And we're fair at Kickback. You know, we got an equal opportunity here. So we're going to chat on the Nashville side of this mashup as well. We're chatting with Stephen Robinson, who is an OG, original roadie and host of the Pharmaceutical Soccer podcast, which we both have actually been on, Gus. So good friends. Yeah. And of course, Calen Carr. Our dear friend Calen Carr is going to be making his Kickback Committee debut. He, of course, is a former MLSer, a U.S. Open Cup champion, by the way, in 2006 with the Chicago Fire. He's currently an analyst for MLS and does all kinds of awesome work. The movement, field notes he's been doing, which is so rad. Some of the best stuff that MLS is putting out. So he's going to join us as well. So we've got some fun conversations to look forward to on this episode. So with that, we are very, very excited to welcome in Zac Graham of Austin FC. Here's that conversation. Time now to welcome in Austin FC supporter and co-host of the North End podcast, friend of the show, Zac Graham. Welcome to Kickback Committee. How you doing, Zac?
I'm doing great, Suzanne. I mean, I got a little bit of adrenaline going already, ready for tomorrow night. But I appreciate you guys having me on. And David, even though we are rivals right now in best ball, it's good to see you, my friend.
It is great to see you.
The standings here between you guys and the fantasy situation.
Yeah. So we have two scoring periods, as we call them, left, even though there's 3 weeks left of the regular season. As of yesterday, we have moved into first. David hot on our heels in second. I think we're separated by 8 points, something like that. So.
And it's like a grand total of like 1,300 points, right? Like
It's been the entire season adding up to this point.
Wow. Okay.
And the interview is over. That's all we needed.
And that's it. That's all you needed to know.
Yeah.
And scene. Well, Zac, it is a pleasure to see you. Thanks so much for coming on ahead of what is a pretty big week for Austin FC. A chance to win the first trophy in the U.S. Open Cup final. You guys are taking on Nashville SC. Okay, so just give us kind of a peek behind the curtain here. What's the overall feeling amongst Austin FC faithful right now heading into this final? Are you confident? Are you nervous? Are you all of the above? What does it look like?
I think all of the above is probably the most appropriate way to describe it. Me personally, more nervous at this point, as I kind of hinted at there, because I did not expect us to be here. And yes, I'm going to say us and we when I'm talking about this team. I'm born and raised Austinite. I have always wanted a professional team, at the first division level in my city. Of course, we had the Aztecs, right? But they went to Orlando and became the Lions. And we had the Bold, and they were way out in the boonies. And I've never really, connected with them. But what this team has brought to this city, is incredible. I was going to latch on to whatever professional team landed here, and I'm very proud that this team is able to represent our city, because, and I know I already listened to my Soccer Wise from yesterday, David, so you and Tommy were talking about how Nashville, has never had a major professional championship win. Obviously, it's the same thing here for Austin, so the stakes for both sides are incredibly high. And you guys know the vibes here at Q2 Stadium. Like, you guys remember back to 2022, right? Like,
when it was fun.
Think Tom put it perfectly yesterday. Those games jumped off of your television screen. It's 10 times, 100 times better in person. And, I can't wait for 7 p.m.
So, obviously, COVID threw a little wrench in when the team started. But first game ever, maybe playoff game that year. Where does this rank? And the feeling around going into this game rank compared to the other big games this club has had?
Yeah, and that has been kind of a point of discussion and debate amongst the incredible independent media and podcast community that has sprung up around this team in Austin. For me, this is hands down the biggest game in club history. And right, there's the burnt orange beacon right there just north of downtown. Is, not everybody in Austin can have that same connection with it, but Austin FC is something that everybody in and around the city can kind of throw their hat in the ring and support here. Man, it's, again, I am at times still, as you maybe can tell, at a loss for words. Some of those games in the past, right, that you mentioned, David, right? Our first playoff game was against RSL. Go down 2-0 early, end up coming back and winning in PKs. Some fans would even point to the 4-1 win over Gareth Bale's LAFC back in August 22 as the high point, right? And that's a regular season game where, they beat the brakes off of us in the Western Conference Finals. So, We didn't get any trophies for that. You didn't get. You actually, I think, get a trophy for Western Conference Final, but we'll just put that to the side. Well, I mean, what an Open Cup trophy would mean for the club, for the city, is almost indescribable for me. But it would legitimize the project for everybody involved, from Anthony Precourt, Rodolfo Burrell, all the people at the top there in the club, all the way down to the most casual of fans, some of whom I know have found out over the last 2 days that we're in the final, and how can I get tickets? Where, what are we doing? How's it going to be? And man, the excitement level is palpable. And I've seen some posts from Nashville fans as well who are coming down, and of course, just as excited. And for 90 minutes, maybe 120. Hopefully we get this done in regulation after the way the last 2 Open Cup matches went for Austin. But it's going to be a great time for anybody and everybody involved.
I'm curious, what is sort of the awareness around Austin about this match right now? Like, is there signage up? Are people talking about it?
Yeah, no, it's growing. We're starting to see, or I should say I'm starting to see, the posts on, like, your when, where, what Austin on Instagram and things like that. That's how this news of events like this travels, at least around the Austin area, right? Again, it's football season. Like, as much as and David, you know this a little bit about me from us talking before, like, I'm a hoops guy first. And so as much as I would love our American sports landscape to be hoops first and Austin FC second, like, American football is king. So most Austinites will say they care about the burnt orange beacon down there, UT football. And, like, look, I love Saturdays too. But I love all Saturdays, and I watch UT at 11 a.m. as a appetizer for the real games that happen at 7:30 at Q2 Stadium every night. So I think it's going to be, just looking, I'm looking for extra tickets for my buddies every day over the last 2 weeks. The prices are as high as they've been since that one and only playoff run back in 2022, which to me, that's one factor. But the demand is higher than it's been in about 3 years here for soccer in Austin.
We've talked about Q2 Stadium a couple of times. It's going to be one of the main talking points because it's going to be one of the main events, like that experience and all of that. What do you think is in store for match day? Like, are we talking special tifos that we can know about? Do you think there's going to be special chants? Do we have an Austin, Nashville, like, music-based name for this game?
I don't know. Ooh. I think what I've heard is, jokes around, like, the Bachelorette Party Bowl and things like that. Rather than the live music route. Either one works. It's going to be kind of an all-day thing. One of the things that me and my co-host Ian, we're a little infamous in our section there in the north end of the stadium for showing up right at kickoff or maybe 30 seconds thereafter. But this one, we're trying to get down there as early as possible. I'm taking off work the next 2 days because I expect
2 days.
Yeah,
wow.
Well, we got to get down there early. Maybe we'll put in some work. We'll get on the Slack tomorrow morning. But after that, we're headed down to the stadium. I think it starts at 4. There's going to be a performance by a group called Brownout, kind of a more local group. DJ Pellegrosa, who's in the stadium a lot, will be out there. Cheap beers, which, like, look, the one thing I could complain about probably around my favorite team here is the beer prices in the stadium. So you get there early for that. I'm sure they're going to have, the little armadillo mascot we have out here, speed bump, all kinds of stuff for the kids and things like that. You mentioned the tifo. I mean, a little biased here. I think our tifos, I would put them up against any other SG in the league, and I would confidently say that we're a top 5 team in terms of our organic support here with all of our supporters groups. I've heard whispers and rumors about the tifo tomorrow. Every single time that they've got, Los Verdes and the Anthem and all the other groups that put in the work on those things, when they have one going up, that is another reason why we sometimes will get to the stadium with 15-20 minutes to spare to make sure we see those masterpieces. I think my favorite one all time was probably the Groot tifo, just because I thought that was a little unique, right? But there's so many that I could run through there. Again, the environment from early afternoon on is going to be great. And I should also mention there will be a shorter than normal march to the stadium for the supporters groups. More of a stroll rather than anything, because we're going to start. There's a Sunoco gas station about a block and a half from the stadium.
With all the
right?
food trucks.
Exactly, which is a perfect place. This is typically
awesome.
where we congregate pre and post game, but you've also, I think, been up to Hop Squad, another 2 blocks away. That's normally where we will march from, but I think shutting down Breaker Lane at like 4 p.m. on a Wednesday. Austin is not that much of a soccer city yet, so we'll do the shorter march, I think, at 4:45, and then there'll be a La Murga de Austin performance out just outside the stadium around 6 before all the supporters head in and rush to the south side and try to secure their spots. Luckily, that's one thing I like about the North End.
Yeah.
We're right in front of those supporters. We get all the music and the chants coming our way. But, look, it's been a while since the North End stood for an entire game. That was also 2022 vibes. When you've been like us the last 2 years, you sit down a couple times. So, again, like I told you guys before we hit record here today, I could talk about this team I do talk about this team for hours. So I'll throw it back to you guys, because I will ramble incessantly about this team, especially when we're good.
I have such FOMO.
Yeah.
Such FOMO right now. Like, I want to be in Austin so bad. I was there in 2022 for that Western Conference final, and it was just unbelievable. It was the place was shaking. Like, it was literally like rocking, and now I just want to be there so bad. I'm curious, Zach, are you superstitious? Like, do you so when my teams are playing, I have my lucky jerseys, and then I have my jerseys that I will not touch because, something terrible happened when I was wearing them. Things like that. For you, do you have kind of a set routine that you will be implementing ahead of the final?
Yes, and I think probably more than I care to admit. In the past, there's been underwear involved. There's been, I gotta wear this jersey because it brought us these vibes, all that kind of stuff. But I'm also a little bit of a I'm a lunatic. Let me just tell you where I'm at. And this was maybe a little bit NyQuil induced, because I will shout out Steph Cragnola, who's one half of the Swoon Tower podcast here in Austin. Fellow ragweed sufferers, it's that time of the year. But last night, I had a dream about how this game was going to go, y'all. Okay? Look, let me tell you the game script. Austin going to get out to a 3-0 lead.
Whoa!
Okay? Look, and then Nashville, look, we have certain feelings about Hani Mukhtar here, because 2022, right? Driussi, Mukhtar, back and forth down the stretch run, and Mukhtar ends up getting that MVP. We'll let him have that, and we're going to win this tomorrow. But I think Mukhtar leads the comeback. This is what my NyQuil dreams are telling me.
Wow.
3-3. And then this is how you know I was on a little bit of the allergy meds, because at the end of the game, right before stoppage time ends, or extra time ends rather, Brad Stuver kicks a field goal, 6-3 Austin. So, don't rely on my predictions for this one, because I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it.
Let's will this into existence. I want that to happen.
I want the 3-goal comeback. I love this for Brad Stuver to have the split career, both NFL kicker and MLS starting goalkeeper. One of the things I wanted to ask you is what it would mean to win, but also you mentioned shutting down the street. Maybe not possible for the march on a Wednesday afternoon. If they win, do you think we get a parade? Is Austin a parade city for a U.S. Open Cup that maybe some people hadn't heard of 2 days ago, but would be the first pro championship?
Look, I'll tell you, there are enough diehards in this fan base, and I think the club is in tune enough with that fact that they could do something like that. Maybe it's not a parade. I think MLS Cup, of course, for sure. We're shutting down Congress, and we're going from the Capitol down to Town Lake or something like that. But for this, I could see maybe a more stationary celebration somewhere. The club has done a lot, I think, for fans and sometimes just for season ticket holders, for preseason parties, right? Jersey release parties. I mean, if you are in the right supporters group chats or other group chats, I'll shout out my friends in the LDR Slack chat. David, I've told you about this, right? We have a Pro Rel Best Ball League going on in there. If you're in the right places, you can see videos and pictures of Rodolfo Borrell taking shots with Austin FC fans. So look, the club, I mean, they get down with what the supporters are producing and the environment they create around the game. Again, I don't know if we're going to pull out all the stops for a parade yet. And look, we still have our eyes, technically, right? We're sitting in 6th. We got our eyes on MLS Cup after this. Like, I'll think about that on Thursday after we have the Open Cup secured. But we got to save something for what comes next, right? Because you win Wednesday, you're also in CCC. And we gotta get revenge on our Violette loss. I don't know. Violette probably not going to make it back. But
that would be wild.
Please serve us up some other tiny Caribbean team so we can just exercise that demon from our past. And then after that, the only thing left would be a rematch with San Antonio FC about 60 miles to our south.
Dang. I love the self-awareness, by the way, Zach. Like, acknowledging that the Violette moment wasn't the best, and that, like, that's just very admirable. Okay, so you kind of hit on it a little bit. Like, the regular season for Austin has been just kind of this, like, weird up and down. Even as somebody who follows MLS, it would be hard for me to describe, like, their season. So for people who are going to be watching this final that really are coming in with, like, a zero knowledge base of Austin FC, how would you, like, sell this team? How would you describe them? What do people need to be watching for?
Sure. Well, the first thing I would say is congratulations. You missed what I hope is the most frustrating parts of the rest of our club's future. They brought in so many new faces, not just this season, but last season as well. When Rodolfo Borrell came in and took over for let's call it what it is, disgraced Claudio Reyna at that point. And he uncovered all of these different issues with the team's cap sheet and contract lengths, and Emiliano Rigoni gets an option picked up after 12 appearances. Like, these are the kind of things that Claudio Reyna was doing, and it is incredible that this team made a Western Conference final under his direction. And again, like Susannah, you brought up, right, the team kind of went through COVID and still started, right, that 2021 season started late. So there were some disadvantages for the folks that were in charge of getting the team off the ground and putting the initial team together. But this season specifically, with those new pieces that came in, right, Austin was back in the zeitgeist preseason. Because you spend on Brandon Vasquez, you spend on Mirtu Izuni, and then, of course, Osman Bukhari, Mikel Dessler, Alexander Svatok, right? Svatok comes in, he's marking Lukaku in the Euros one week, and then he's in Austin the next week in hotter weather than he's ever experienced in his life. So I think it has been a transition period for everybody involved at the club level, player personnel, and all that. May was the low point. 9 matches in 28 days. The only 2 wins were the 2 Open Cup wins. And the low point of this year, y'all, was the round of 32. You host El Paso Locomotive. You're coming off the worst loss by margin of defeat in club history, 3-0 at home to Minnesota United. And then you're down 2 to a mid-table USL side, and you did not fully rotate. That was the only time in my life I have booed a favorite team of mine. And look, David, I know I'm wearing
but they rallied.
I'm repping the North End Pirates here.
I'm glad we didn't wear it at the same time.
Yeah, I was thinking we actually argued with Brian and Mike because they were like, guys, we don't boo our team. Like, they deserve it, brother. So I told Brian a couple weeks ago, look where they are now. Thanks to the boos.
Yeah.
They turned it around, and now we're in the final. The second half of the season has been great, and that was largely due to the fact that Austin had one of the toughest, if not the toughest, strength of schedule through the first half of the regular season. So again, I think they could even be a little bit higher in the MLS table than they are now if they weren't making this Open Cup run, because they rotated against Dallas. And unfortunately, I went up there with Ian, and we had to watch a game where we literally did not cheer one time. Just this past weekend, you go to RSL, you get a group out there that has not played before, not even close. CJ Fodre, his first start, and again, he's been the story of the last month for this team. I think they would have put up a much better fight against Real Salt Lake if they weren't all focused And admittedly, it was Nico Estevez, it was Danny Pereira after the game saying, look, man, we are focused on the final.
Yeah.
And so, like, whether, we could sit here and say whether or not you should be admitting that publicly in a game that you're supposed to be competing in. But this is a team on an upward trajectory. It's been slower than I think a lot of the diehard fans would have liked it to be. But I personally, and maybe I'm ever the optimist, I think this team is in good hands with Burrell and Estevez. As mediocre of a signing as that was. Burrell put himself in a tough spot, Susannah. He came in here and said to the fans, there are names you would not believe who want to play in Austin, who want to coach this team. And then, bring in Nico Estevez, who was fired by one of our biggest rivals 6 months prior. And you sign Mirtu Azuni, who nobody's going to look at the second division in Spain, especially the casuals over here, and be like, who is that? Son is in LA. Messi is in Miami. Like, I think you don't have to be much more than a casual to recognize some of the guys that are playing in New York and around New York City right now, right? So, like, when are we going to get those guys? You're probably not going to. And the way that this team has come together, you see it in the content that the team puts out. You see it in post-game interviews. You see it out there on the pitch. These guys really like each other. It appears to be a very good group of guys, which, as a former college basketball coach and player, you don't always have a good group of folks on a team that all get along. You don't all have to be best friends, right? But to be able to gel together on and off the field is something that is special for a group like that going through a season with multiple competitions. And for it to culminate like this, where you have a final, you're hosting your first ever final, and then no matter what happens on Wednesday, we also have a playoff chase that I think it's like 95% chance they'll end up in the top 7 right now based on those algorithms that, maybe we don't talk about that until they've clinched it for sure. But this year's been a stepping stone to the success we expect to come, and the success we expect to persevere season to season, rather than just a bottle rocket 2022 and then 2 years of, are we fighting off wooden spoon contention, right? Like, so that is a very, very long and winding explanation to say it has been a rewarding season to stick through as a diehard fan, and believing in the process, because believing in the process with this club has not always turned out so rosy. So this, tomorrow night is going to be very rewarding for those fans that have been around, that did not sell their season tickets, that did not stop coming to these games. And, like, those things are fine, right? There are other factors that, are involved with people making those types of decisions. But this is just, it's an extra little cookie for the lunatics out there like me.
That was, I feel like what an education we've just received. Literally, you've enlightened everybody that is listening to this. I now feel like I totally have my finger on the pulse of Austin FC. Awesome stuff. Zac, thank you so very much for taking the time to join us. We are thrilled for you. We can't say we're rooting, we're neutral in this, but I will be so happy for you if Austin does the thing. Can you tell people how they can follow you and the podcast real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. We are at the North End Pod or at the North End Podcast, depending on which social media site you're on. I don't know which ones go to which. You can also go to thenorthendpodcast.com. You'll get all of our episodes there. If you're an Austin fan listening in and you've never heard of us, we also have like roster and salary cap spreadsheets on our website, like for the true sickos. And again, I would also bump just the entire Austin FC independent media community. I know we may be rivaled by some other fan communities out there across the league, but I would put us up against anybody. So again, this is a major reward for everybody involved, and just want to thank you, David and Susannah. Good to finally kind of meet for real here on the Kickback Committee. Thanks for having me on, y'all.
Awesome. Well, we've heard from the Austin side of this U.S. Open Cup final, and now it is time to hit on the Nashville side of this matchup. We are absolutely thrilled to welcome one of the OG Nashville SC supporters, host of Pharmaceutical Soccer Pod, the one and only Stephen Robinson. Stephen, it's so good to see you. How are you?
Susannah, it's so good to see you. David, it's good to be here with the both of you. Obviously, nerves and excitement this week makes working almost impossible. So I'm excited that I got to hop on, talk to the both of you, especially, during this Open Cup final time.
This is super, super exciting. So, fun fact, about 8 years ago, I think it was 2017, I made a trip down to Nashville. This was before Nashville was even announced as an MLS team. And I got to hang with Steven and some of the roadies who were basically supporting this team from the jump. And it was my first taste of soccer in Tennessee and Nashville, and it blew my mind. And I was so lucky that I got to kind of be a part of your first season and your entry into MLS. And so looking back, like 8 years, okay, this was like the very beginning. And now you guys are about to play in a U.S. Open Cup final. You made it to a Leagues Cup final. I mean, the strides that this team has taken in a very short amount of time, I think is really, really remarkable. So when you look at it, Stephen, from that perspective, where is your head at heading into this final and this matchup with Austin?
Well, first, I'm going to try not to get emotional, thinking all the way back to that time, just because, I was a part of the team supporting it in 2015 when we were an NPSL club. I remember walking into like the first roadies hangout, and there was 3 people there, and that was for an NPSL club. And now here we are to this day where we're going to have over 200 people there, in Austin, wow, ready to go, rooting for this team. It's incredible. And especially from the Open Cup perspective, this is, a competition that has meant, so much to us. Back when we beat the Colorado Rapids in Nashville during the USL time, still one of the, greatest, matches that I've ever seen. Susannah, I thought we were going to convince you to move to Nashville.
I tried.
Times. But hey, do you know what?
Steven, I tried.
But hey, we got you close enough in Knoxville, so very happy about that. No, we honestly, it's gonna be tough for words no matter what. Obviously, I'm going to be pulling for Nashville to win in this instance, but I think just the emotion and joy, being able to see all the things. We've seen the downfalls, we've seen, coaches get fired, but we've also seen so many really good things happen with this squad. We haven't built up in, buying a bunch of expensive players. We've kind of stuck with the core that we've believed in, and seeing that core be able to get to an Open Cup final, probably one of the most important, matches in this club's history, if not for the Leagues Cup final. To be here from that beginning to the front, I there's just no words to describe how excited I am for tomorrow.
Take us a little bit in this year through this experience, going through U.S. Open Cup, right? It's been a great run in the league, but it's like you almost have to separate yourself. You have these offhand games. Obviously, Philly at home in the semi is huge. Like, what's been the experience watching this tournament run?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been very interesting just because we haven't known where the focus is going to be. There's been a lot of conversations about, hey, we are absolutely going to focus on the Open Cup. But then we go to Orlando away and we kind of put out, a more BC style team where we're all confused. Like, all right, well, this is a good run. Ended up pulling a really good victory out against Orlando, a 3-2 win. And that kind of showed, specifically, hey, Nashville actually does have the depth to take this competition, a longer way than we could. There was a lot of conversations on who we wanted when we got to the point of, what 8 we wanted. Do we actually want to play a Philly team that's really good this year, yet we've dominated? Or do we want to play a Red Bull team that we've historically not had a really good time against? It's been, a wave of emotions, especially coming into this time as Nashville's MLS side, like actual MLS results haven't been strong. It's been, a weird 6 of 7 loss run until this Houston Dynamo match that we had. So a roller coaster of emotions, but it looks like we are starting coming back off of a confident weekend, and of course coming into an Open Cup final where it's going to be one of the first major trophies for Nashville, the city of Nashville, not just the team of Nashville. It's something that you can't get more excited about.
Okay, so you are making your way to Austin. You said you've got a flight that you're going to catch. Is it tonight or tomorrow that you're going?
Tomorrow morning
okay.
for me. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it tonight. There's a lot of good hangouts going on tonight if you are around. But yes, unfortunately, making it tomorrow.
So this is going to be fun. Number one, Q2 Stadium. I don't know if you've had the chance to get to Q2 Stadium, but it's a great environment. I mean, I would put it up there with Geodis Park, certainly. But I have a feeling that the Nashville SC fans that are traveling there are going to make their presence known. Can you kind of shed some light on what you guys have in store? Like, what is match day look like for you ahead of this final?
I think it was kind of crazy to see, especially like just the day after that win, the night after that win against Philadelphia. We've had trouble in some instances with away trips, and I think a lot of it is people are trying to figure out what is going to happen with the team this season. What trips to make, what trips to not. We've been in this league long enough where we've seen most of the places to visit. The largest group that we've had so far was in St. Louis. That's because we haven't been yet. When you go to Atlanta 8 times, it's kind of like, oh, cool. I don't know if I want to go only back to Atlanta again. We have been to Austin before when we were in the West for that 1 year of time, and I had an absolute good time. And
God,
yes,
that's right. I forgot you guys were in the Western Conference.
Yes, I know, right?
Yes.
I almost forget about it too because it was a wild experience and detrimental to all the miles I had racked up for saving for the World Cup. But you know what? Here we are. It's fine. But after that win against Philadelphia, I was amazed by how many people had bought their flights that evening. They're like, there's no way we are missing this. It meant as much to people as it did to me, where I was honestly a little bit shocked. I didn't realize that, Nashville is not necessarily known as one of those big soccer cities per se, that have just people following no matter what, where, hey, this Open Cup competition meant so much to them. So I am just excited for the amount of people that are going to be traveling. Obviously, we're going to be very loud. We're going to have to be in an environment like Austin. I talked about this on our podcast. I think this is going to be the scariest environment that Nashville has probably faced all season. In terms of the crowd being into it, it's a very intimidating spot. Austin going through the same thing that we are, where their town hasn't necessarily won something specific. So there's a lot on the line here for both of these clubs. I just hope that we can keep up as a fan base. I know my excitement will keep me going for 120 minutes if need be.
Yeah, you mentioned there, winning in general. One of the lines we heard from Walker Zimmerman on this show going into the semifinals, and then we had Dan Lovitz on SoccerWise yesterday, is the chance to be the first pro team in Tennessee to win a championship. The opportunity here, what would this mean for fans in the club? But I think even bigger, like what would it mean for Nashville SC in the wider lens of sports fans in Tennessee?
Yeah, I think, as I kind of said, like Nashville's had a weird kind of grippings when it comes to being a soccer city. I think when we built the stadium as Geodis Park, it was for what could be in terms of the fan base in Nashville, not necessarily for the right here and now. So there was always been a little bit of intimidation of, we're only having, 22,000 or 23,000 people in a 30,000 stadium. Like, what do we do? I think Nashville Soccer Club solidifies itself as being an extreme important backbone into Nashville sports history, because I think even the teams that are specifically out of Nashville, the Predators had a really tough time kind of getting that fan base together when it was this established team, because the team wasn't very good. We've had a good few runs in MLS, a few good playoff runs, but it's it's, when you do have a losing year, it kind of takes a little bit out of that in terms of kind of solidifying yourself. So I think for Nashville itself, it solidifies that, hey, we kind of belong in this picture because we're the only team that has won a trophy in this picture. And I think it solidifies just the project that's going on in Nashville, especially with the hiring of BJ Callahan, the way that they've had to restructure the roster over the year. This was supposed to be a rebuild year for Nashville. And now we're going through a time that, hey, we might be in a rebuild year. We've already clinched a playoff spot, and we might win an Open Cup. So I think it solidifies Nashville being so strong in the market and what it can continually be, as stuff continues through.
Amen. Okay, how much do people love BJ Callahan? Like, how much do the Nashville supporters love this guy? Because I know how I feel.
It was wild just because, like, as the hire, we're sitting there being like, okay, this is a safe hire. Like, all right, this is a good hire. Like, not going crazy outside the box, but cool. Like, he can coach, but what is he going to do in MLS? At the end of last year, didn't have his people, necessarily intact, missed the playoffs. There were some questions about, what the next year was going to be like, especially because, BJ did not have, the finances, in play because we had a lot of restructuring to do. But then to see, just the first few matches of the absolute firecracker of, we've gone from a team that was one of the worst scoring teams in MLS for 3 or 4 years to what we are now today. People are mind blown, specifically by what BJ Callahan can actually do. It was, hey, we can actually have a defense and play offensive soccer at the same time. Like, this is fantastic. It's crazy. And that is no disrespect to Gary Smith. Did fantastic for us, made it through a bunch of playoffs. But it was a nice change of pace for people to be like, oh, this is what wingbacks can do. They can actually contribute to goals. It's been so much fun to see. And I think just from an open perspective, BJ's been very open when it comes to talking to the media, talking to the fans. He doesn't hide a lot when it comes to, I'm not going to tell you, the fans what's going on. He's pretty blunt and transparent when it comes to a lot of the stuff that's happening. So it's been a nice breath of fresh air. I love him. I'm excited to see what he continues to do. And I'm excited to see what he does on Wednesday because I am curious.
You mentioned, I think, 200 fans, you think, traveling down for it?
Yes, I think it'll probably, depending on who could get a ticket and who not, I know from kind of Austin perspective, and I know there's kind of limits based on, how many away fans can be there, but we are expecting about 200 people to be there. There is a specific supporter section and a season ticket section that was kind of available for people to choose from. So it'll be nice to have kind of everybody together. And I have a feeling there might be more than that at some point, just trying to find random tickets here and there. So
amazing. Okay, so I know you know this team very well. You've watched probably every single match. I want you to kind of like do this like word puzzle with me. So for Nashville to win the US Open Cup, X needs to happen. Like, what needs to happen on Wednesday for Nashville to lift the Lamar Hunt trophy?
I think Nashville needs to score early to be able to win the trophy. I think they need to be able to set a tone. Austin is not very they don't really hide more or less what they do. Austin is going to play in a low block, and you have to beat it if you are going to win against Austin. They showed how detrimental it could be if you don't score early against them when they played Minnesota, that it doesn't matter how late in the game it is, they will counter you at some point if you are not dictating the game. So I think for Nashville to win, obviously, it's more the easiest answer of all time, but I think to score early, kind of take the crowd out of it as much as you possibly can, show that you are in kind of control of the game, because with a team that does sit in a low block, you have no idea what that is going to be like. You could have 80% possession, but that 1% of possession that they get to score, like, it doesn't matter how much possession you have at the end of the game. It's all about the result. So I think Nashville needs to get a goal early, kind of dictate the game, and see what happens from there.
Have you considered that this could go to penalties?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
In my heart.
Okay. And
my heart
Because I
currently
know,
can't handle that.
I know, and I know that like the track record isn't awesome.
No, Susannah, it's not great. I was in Philadelphia when we lost in the playoffs and watched all of that happen. I was in USL when we lost in Cincinnati in penalties in the playoffs. I've watched Hani Mukhtar have very much some penalty struggles, more or less, in multiple games. Yes, I am scared for that fact. I hope it does not happen.
See, I feel like if we talk about it, then it's kind of like you like exercise those demons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is fair. It's instead of holding it in, it's actually talking about it, which I do. Honestly, I didn't think I needed to talk about it until you brought it up right there, because I've thought about it, but I have been just acting like it's not going to happen. Even when I made my predictions, I'm just like, no, it's not going to happen. Don't even need to worry about it. So I'm glad. Thank you very much for this Open Cup therapy session, Susannah. I don't know where I'd
See,
be
we already
without
did it. It's done. It's done now. You don't need to think about it.
It can't hurt you.
Until tomorrow, until it hurts me. So yes, absolutely.
Sports are pain. That's all that matters.
Even with the pain though, like I think that I will have tears no matter what at some point, whether it's a loss or a win for Nashville, just because of how much this moment does mean to the city, to the team, to the fans. It's been through a lot as a fan group, have seen a lot, and I'm excited to see this team take the next step, and I think our fans deserve it.
Awesome. Steven, such a pleasure. Safe travels. Good luck tomorrow. I hope you enjoy every single second. We really appreciate you, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much for the time. Hopefully have the ability to be celebrating, in a couple days.
Yeah.
So thank you both so much. I'm glad I got to see you, talk to you. It's been a pleasure.
Big day on the committee because making his Kickback Committee debut at long last, our very good friend Calen Carr is here. Buddy, it's so good to see you.
Oh, Suze, it's like old times. It's been a while.
It has.
I've missed you.
It's been a minute. We go back all the way back to the twin This Week in MLS days. This used to be you and me on the reg. Goss, I'm pretty sure you made some appearances on Twin.
I did some fill-ins. I think me and Jill were the B team on that one, which I'm happy to take. This is the GOAT right here.
It's so good to see you, buddy. You're killing it right now for MLS. Love listening to your game calls. Love what you're doing with the field notes. I feel like it's kind of like movement-esque, which to this day I contend is the best piece of content that MLS has ever put out.
Wow, Suze, you're forgetting everything. Not counting the Suze archive.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Definitely.
Thank you.
It's so good to see you, buddy. We're excited to have you on for many reasons. But we're chatting the U.S. Open Cup final this week between Austin and Nashville. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but Calen Carr won himself a U.S. Open Cup when he was playing for the Chicago Fire in 2016.
I forgot. I literally think I have my ring.
I was going to ask you where the ring is.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, God. The suspense
There's no
is
chance this
killing
is
me.
fast.
God, he's coming back. Okay.
It's not that. I didn't
get
find
to
it. It's downstairs.
So Calen, I'm just about to embarrass you because I'm your hype woman, but I also
you need both.
Cut you down a little
Yeah.
bit. One of my favorite stories that Calen Carr ever told me, this was very early on in our MLS days, but he and we were both in Chicago at the same time, didn't know each other. But we were talking about like the clubs that we used to go to back in the day. What's up, Underground? And Calen told me that he used to flash the U.S. Open Cup ring to get into the club.
Yeah.
Classy.
Yeah,
Classy.
I would say it didn't always work. The respect for Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup was hit and miss, but I think the rings have probably they've gotten a little more blingy in more recent years. But
that's why we're committed to growing the coverage and passion for this competition, is so that players like you can get into more places for free after winning it.
That's what it's all about, really, for the culture. It's like you got to go out and celebrate. I still have some funny photos too, I think on my Instagram, of me drinking out of the cup with and I'm like holding my hand up, and there's like Jim Curtins in the back, CJ Brown, Gonzalo Cigares, a bunch of guys. And yeah, I remember the party afterwards was definitely a good time. And Susannah, we may have run across you at one of the local establishments.
So it's like there's an amateur team that's celebrating some league championship
with these tiny little rings.
Yeah, there's like a men's league team that's doing a lot of weird stuff in the
chasing the baseball players.
We respect that. We have to respect.
Sorry. What can I say? Okay, well, take us back to 2006 though, because you know that Goss and I are stands of the U.S. Open Cup. We love it. I know you love it. This was probably one of the huge moments in your career. But what do you remember most about that crazy U.S. Open Cup run for you guys?
Well, it was awesome. I mean, I think the minute I got drafted by the Fire, it was made clear right away that this was like a major priority, because they had won the Open Cup 3 times already by the time I got there. And so that was like a major thing. And I think, just like always, there's always been kind of like ebbs and flows of some clubs that take it really seriously and it's a part of their identity, and some that are kind of like, well, I got to Houston and it was kind of like, what's this? And so it was like, but then, hey, they won the Open Cup later on. So later, I think at times you can realize some teams wake up and realize how important this is. But for the Fire, that was never really an issue. And so, and then for me personally, it was my chance to like really break through and get full 90s. I was playing my rookie season and, playing like 5 minutes, 12 minutes, 16 minutes in full chaos time of like getting subbed in at the end of any MLS match and trying to find your footing. And this was the first time where I was really like, okay, I'm starting every match. I'm building 90 minutes. We were playing in the reserve league at the time too, but that's not really the same. And so that it was like a big breakout for me to prove that I could, get more time with the first team and to make a difference. And then we went and did the whole damn thing. When we played all home games in Chicago, which was great, and the fans were fantastic, and we beat the Galaxy in the final, which would be a rarity for me, I would find, in my career. But yeah, it was one of the proudest moments of my career. Still, I got the ring. I don't have it here to prove it, but if you see me out at the clubs in Brooklyn, I might try and flash it and see if the magic still works of the Open Cup.
It's an interesting one here. We've got Austin against Nashville. You call a lot of these teams week in and week out. You were actually in Nashville for their most recent game against your beloved Houston Dynamo. I could feel throughout the first 12 minutes of that broadcast as the red card happened, a small piece of you die inside watching it go down. Let me ask you, for covering this league and watching these teams and talking to everyone, like, how surprising is it that this is an Austin-Nashville final, or does it fit what you said, which is sometimes it's the right year, the right time, and these are teams in that space that would sort of focus towards it?
Yeah, well, I mean, the cup and the clubs that are participating this year are different, but I still think, like, if you look at, especially from the perspective of both clubs, really, to win their first title, it's huge. And I always feel like the home team has a big advantage, but then Nashville, if you look at the way they've gone through this tournament, even, it's not like they just like waltzed through. No competition, having to beat Philadelphia away in Philly. And I think the way they did it too shows you, like, and I feel like this team, they hadn't been in the best moment, 1 win and 6 losses in their last 7. And I feel like this last weekend's game against Houston was just like a get right game where they came out from the opening whistle. And before you mentioned 12 minutes, like the match was over. Like Houston came back and fought to tie it up, but the way they came out in the match, the way they killed it in the beginning of the second half, getting Walker Zimmerman back, he subbed in the last few minutes. I'd expect him to probably start in the Open Cup final. And then they got some rest as well because they were able to put the game to bed early. So they got Hani and Surridge off a little bit early, Andy Nahar off a little bit early, who's been unreal. So I feel like this run for them is the chance at a trophy, of course, the biggest moment potentially in their club's history. But it also, I think, even going through this run will prime them for an opportunity potentially to make a run in the playoffs, because it is a new manager with Callahan. And I always feel like for a team, you kind of have to learn some hard lessons in playoffs. Sometimes you have to fall down a couple times before you can really make a run deep. And I think you can use the U.S. Open Cup where you go play a Philly in a knockout tournament and you get to a final. You go on the road in a final and, you try to win the whole thing. That's something that when you show up, a couple weeks later and you're in the MLS Cup playoffs, you go up against Philly in a knockout and you're like, oh, we've been here. We know we've navigated this already, and you have that extra bit of confidence. And the same could go for Austin as well, where if they take down a Nashville and they're able to win a trophy at home, they can make some noise. The West is kind of a little bit, I know LAFC and Sun and Boanga are just running rampant on everybody right now, but I think the West, could have some interesting upsets that happen as well.
Speaking of like mistakes, learning, you have, I think, picked Nashville to win MLS Cup or make MLS Cup every year since they've been in the league, right? That was your thing because of the way they were built, which was defensive based, felt like a knockout team, and they made some runs at times in other competitions and stuff as well. How impressed are you, and how much have you enjoyed watching this group now under BJ Callahan and the change in style?
Yeah, it's been impressive. And I do tend to lean towards the teams with defensive records in the playoffs. I have
big little up top, good center backs.
I love. Yeah. Hey, listen, there's a throwback. There's something to that. But I think the difference is they're still the hard to beat team first and foremost, I think. But what I've liked about what Callahan has done is that instead of being so defensive, and there's different types of defense. But they're defending off the front foot a lot now. They open the game off the kickoff, and we've seen that a bunch of times now with like PSG and Enrique, where they just play it out of bounds. And Callum Williams, my co-commentator, was hyping up the match and welcoming everybody in, and I was like, "Look, they're about to score!" And it generally is more of a statement of intent, where it's like, "Hey, we're going to put you back on your heels and make you have to play out and make the game." It doesn't generally turn into a goal, and 98 seconds in, they had it in the back of the net with Hani Mukhtar. So I like the fact that it's a more aggressive Nashville than we've seen, where at times it just seemed like, Gary Smith's teams were often really more in a low block or a mid block and then hitting in transition with Hani Mukhtar, and they can still get out and go, and at times they might have to sit back and suffer. But I really like that they put themselves on the front foot. I think Yazbek and Tagseth have helped them a lot to cover ground in the midfield. And they have a different ways of doing it with the ball as well, where they can have some possession. So it reminds me a little bit of what Callahan's roots are of the Philadelphia teams that have the similar structure with two strikers, and they really apply a lot of pressure. And then also a little bit of the Berhalter U.S. men's national team setup, where you have some patterns of play, they can keep possession. So they have a little bit more ways to hurt you than maybe in the past, where it's just like, okay, Hani, get on the rock, clear out, ISO, let's see what happens. And so I think those, to be able to win in different ways is really valuable. And we're seeing that.
So it sounds like you're kind of giving the edge to Nashville in this final.
Well,
is that fair to say?
It's really hard to pick against a home team in a final,
Yeah.
And especially when I mentioned my experience of like hosting an Open Cup final and then playing two MLS Cup finals away. And so I think there's a big advantage of that Austin crowd and being at home. But if you were to ask me like, who's the better team? Who do I think is going to win just from the like soccer perspective? I think Nashville have more weapons. I think they have a much more dangerous attack. They have like 22 goals from Surge this year. I think Mukhtar has more goal contributions, or they're about equal. I think 27 each. So it's kind of crazy to think of and then Andy Nahar for me is like kind of the X factor, where he's just bombing down this right-hand side and just gives them a different weapon than I think a lot of teams have.
It is a final though. Anything can happen. Okay, we're going to put you on the spot then. Prediction. What's the prediction for this?
I'm going to go Nashville. I'm going to stick with Nashville. I'll say 3-1.
Woo! Yeah. All right.
Yeah, why not?
We shall see. Well, Calen, before we let you go, I'd be remiss not to gift the people what they really want, which is photographic evidence of one of my favorite versions of Calen Carr, because there's been many. We know, we know, like we can't see your bald head right now, but you've got a shaved head right now. Goss.
I went full goss.
Well. There we go.
You never go full goss. You go partial.
No,
you never go full.
Under my wig, I'm actually both of you guys too. So I could join that club soon. I need.
You look great, Sus.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. But can we see 2006 Calen Carr, producer Douglas?
Is this Q-tip Carr?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, this is peak headband Calen Carr, which me is elite Calen Carr.
Look at the flow.
You've got an
you can
incredible
feel
flow.
the speed.
It's
you know what's
so
funny?
good.
This is from preseason. I remember this was Florida preseason.
So apparently this was your rookie card, and I found a photo of it because someone was auctioning it off on eBay at some point. I don't know how much it sold for.
A lot of money.
A lot, yeah. Upper deck. That's like the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card is like 10K or 20K or something like that. I don't know how this stacks up, but I think it's somewhere close.
I mean, you led the Pac-12 in goals in 2005, so
there is no Pac-12 now. But that hurts a little bit.
No, this is peak Calen Carr.
No, I mean between the headband, the helmet, there were a lot of different
that's
iterations, you know. But
the
worst was probably the goatee, the playoff goatee for Houston.
Ooh.
I tried to get the team to let me get a mustache exemption because it was like you couldn't shave during the playoffs, and strangely, I grow like just a perfect goatee with nothing on the side. It's kind of like I just look like I'm in prison basically, and it was not a good look for me. I tried to get the mustache exemption. It didn't work. The best thing I tried to do is to say playoffs, let's go short shorts. Gosh, you'd have to appreciate this.
Yeah.
Oh,
If the Dynamo went short shorts in the playoffs, we have 2 more titles. I say it right now.
Okay.
I love it. I absolutely support that.
I'm glad you found that one. The flow is back.
Flow.
Maybe
Flow is so good.
That's a U.S. Open Cup winner photo.
I was right on my way. I was running straight to it.
How many goals did you score in U.S. Open Cup?
Well, the part I'm most bitter about
here we go.
was I had 2 in the semifinal, and we beat DC 3-0 at home. And then there was like a month layoff between there and the final. And I went back to like my super sub role. But I didn't even get into the final, and I'm still upset about it because I'm like, I mean, we won the trophy, and hey, look, we had a good time, and the team played great, and it's all about the team. It's all about the team. But between us. And that's why I wish the Kickback Committee was around, because there's no way that you would be heading into an Open Cup final and seeing some young kid scoring a few goals in the semi, drew a penalty. I think he scored a goal against Kansas City before that, and didn't start the final. You have to reward them. So I'm not going to name names, Dave Sarakin, but I'm still a little bit upset about that.
People are asking, is CJ Fodry the Calen Carr of 2025?
Free CJ. He's got to get in there. He also could rock a headband. I could see that.
He could rock a headband.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that for him.
Man. But let's be honest, no one does it like Calen Carr. Buddy, thank you so much for taking the time. Great to
love
see
the show.
you, as always. I hope you come back often.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I'm hopefully I didn't ruin myself so I don't get invited back, but
no.
It's good. I'll just have to be careful which photos you find of me for next time.
Love you, buddy.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Fun show, guys. I'm super hyped.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
This final. I'm really hyped, and I don't know which way I'm leaning anymore, but I do think we kind of need to land on a name for this, because I was really feeling the whole Bachelorette Party
Unreal
reference at Zach.
What did he say? I have the music thing, like that's clearly going to be the connection, right? Austin City Limits, Nashville, like it's perfect. And then Zach was like, well, people are talking about Bachelorette parties and the 2 cities, and like that's genius. Is it a bash? Is a Bachelorette a bash? Is that a phrase? So it'd be like the bash.
Can be.
Yeah.
The bash.
I have been to Austin for 2 bachelor parties, so I'm part of the problem. I'll fully admit.
And I've been to Nashville for a Bachelorette party. So
I'm going to put my hand up there and say I'm part of the problem.
Oh,
yeah.
God, we got to, okay.
Bachelorette Party Classico is what Douglas put in. But is there something, I don't know how you work the word in. There's got to be something in there. I would like for someone to come back to us with this. I also think, I don't want us to be full Andrew Weebies where we just invent rivalry. So I think when we come out of the game, then we'll see it. Because, Zac started talking about the animosity because Hani Mukhtar beat Driussi to the Golden Boot, and I hadn't even thought of that. It's one of those things where, unless you're in the fan base, you don't know why people dislike the other one.
Yep.
So maybe it will come organically out of the game, and I'm really excited about that. But the emotion for both Zac and Steven, you can tell how big this is, and Calen sort of are, don't want to age him too much, but we're talking 19 years in the past and it being such a huge moment in his life. So it's one of those things that you can't recreate. Like you can make up other tournaments and name them finals and whatever, but there's only ones that really matter to people. And the singularity of a final, which is just anything else for the year, multiple years. Like if you win tomorrow, a lot of it goes away, and being able to watch that is really, really special.
It is. It's just such a great competition, and I know you and I bang the drum all the time, but you guys, if you care about soccer in North America, watch this final. Like this is it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a really, really fun matchup, and I feel like it just always brings some sort of drama and madness. So check that out Wednesday night. I think it's on CBS Sports Network.
Yes.
Definitely Paramount Plus.
Yes.
I think they're sending the whole crew down there. So that's going to be really, really cool. What a show. So much fun. Side note, 50 States of Soccer, David Goss. This week, our focus is the great state of Connecticut.
Yes.
I lived there for 2 years.
So you are one of the best 5 soccer players from Connecticut ever?
100%. 100%. Yes.
Yeah, we are very excited. Obviously, the Jägermeister Cup is on Saturday, which is another final. We wanted to focus on Open Cup, going chronologically, but the Jägermeister Cup is 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Sacramento is hosting Hartford. So we're going to celebrate a little Connecticut soccer over the next few days. You're going to do our happy hour on Thursday while I am out atoning for my sins. So for anyone celebrating Yom Kippur, I hope you have an easy fast, and I hope the breakfast the breakfast bagels at the end are the best part.
All my Jewish friends said that the breaking of the fast is just
one of the best meals of the year. Yeah. It just
Oh.
hits in every single way. But we will talk about Connecticut. We've got our NWSL show coming up tomorrow, and then Tom's taking over for me with Joe Larry. I know from a player point of view, it is a state that has jumped massively. It's kind of one where you're like, the pro ranks have been good, where I think we've done like the North Carolinas of the world and others where you're like, oh, like 80 to 2000 was like elite for this state. And Connecticut is Patrick Ajamong, who it's all his own. Like no one really put him in a system. And Peyton Miller now, who is a stud for the Revs. There's a couple NYCFC kids that have come through from Connecticut. And of course, Christine Lilly, who is the all-time leader in caps.
From Connecticut.
She was born in New York, but went and lived in Connecticut.
Okay,
which,
so that qualifies.
There are rumors that we will try and find a way to sneak Matt Doyle into the list because he is a Connecticut local native, but he is not coming on the show. So I think I'm going to nix that.
Rude.
Yeah.
Do you know who will be on the show with me in person, though?
In person?
In person. Jillian Sakovitz.
I didn't even know we could do things
I
in
know.
person.
Mind blown, guys. But she's coming to visit me here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Unreal.
And so I said, duh, like you're going to do the happy hour with me. So we're going to set up here. And so she will
So it'll be
right
a real
here.
happy hour.
Also, she lives in Connecticut right now. So
Boom.
she can weigh in on something.
CT to the max.
CT to the max.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Happy hour, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursday on our YouTube channel. Also, make sure you check out our newsletter. We've got our Kickback Minutes, our weekly newsletter, and our World Cup specific newsletter that you should check out. So subscribe to both of those. Check out all the Soccer Wise episodes, all the Kickback Committee episodes. Follow us on the socials. Do all the things. We
Viva
love you
la
guys.
Open Cup.
We appreciate you. Enjoy this very, very massive week of soccer, everybody, and we will see you next time.